So recently my friends decided that they wanted to post Meninist and feminist rants on their Instagram profiles. And I read through them and I made fun of them. Of course, I poked a little bit fun. But when it comes down to it, and I really thought about it, I realized that they're right about a lot of the things that they're saying. But they also had opposing views. Which is funny since both of them are supposedly supposed to have like the similar same kind of definition. That men have the same rights as women and every other human being on the planet, and females have the same right as men and every other gender and sexuality on the planet. But why are they having different labels? Why do we label them differently, and why do we have different reactions to each of them when both of them are basically a form of humanitarianism, which is that equality for all humans, no matter their gender, their race, their sexuality, where they come from, everything. They should all have the same basic human rights given to them. So with that, let me begin with my own little speech to say. There are two sides to everything, and in this speech I want to tell about every single side, and how every single side deserves the same recognition and respect as the other one. So with that, start off with, let me bring an example to light. Men are taught that showing emotion is wrong. Showing anger towards anyone is violent. Showing tears is a sign of weakness, and men aren't allowed to hit women back when a woman hits him, but women are well within their rights to hit a man. That doesn't make exactly any sense at all, if you want my complete honesty. But when women show emotion, it's labeled as PMSing. When women cry in public, they're labeled as emotional. And it's nothing wrong with that. It's that the human race, the society as a whole, just frowns on emotions in general, shown by anyone, because it is viewed as a sign of weakness. But instead of just accepting it as a society, we decide to label it differently in terms of different people, of people's different genders and sexualities, and their race, even. It's not exactly our faults, though. We are raised with this mindset forced upon us. But it does become our fault when we don't decide to think for ourselves, and when we decide to force this mindset on those around us. And we force this mindset on those around us every single day, whether it just be in simple things as shampoo bottles, or in how you talk, and how people judge you based off of how you talk. I can speak from experience myself. I grew up with maybe 1.5, 2 years in a domestic violence situation where my mother was beaten at least once a week by her boyfriend. And we were raised in a part where there were drugs involved, and my mom was trying to raise a child, and I saw bruises on her arms at least once a week. It was horrible, and it was hard to live in that and not be able to say anything constantly in fear that what if I said something wrong? What if someone judged me off of what I said? What if my peers judged me when they figured out what was going on, where I was coming from? Everything points to my mother being domestically abused, but the thing is, my mother also hit him. She also threatened him. Everything in the relationship was messed up, guaranteed, but the law system found him guilty for absolutely everything. And it was not just his fault. Relatively, my mom got off way easier than she should have. And there was an internet post showing my mother and her boyfriend, and everyone was attacking my mom for not protecting us, for not saying anything, for not speaking out, because apparently it's a woman's duty to be a mother, and it's not a man's duty to be a father. No one found any fault in him online. Everyone was bashing my mom, attacking my mom for her part in the drugs and her part in the violence, and the fact that she was trying to raise a child in that. And I wanted to ask them, what would you do if you were in that same situation? My mom is not a horrible woman. She was trying her best. The fault was not her being a good enough mother. It was the fact that they weren't being a mother and a father together. They're trying to act on separate sides and see each other at different points instead of being together and seeing them together. And it's not just society that's judging us, it's every single one of us. Every single one of us make up the society that we belong in and the society that we live in. Men look at females unequally, and females look at men unequally. White people look at everyone else, every other race unequally, and a lot of other races look at each other unequally. But the thing that I want to ask is, now that we are calling attention to all of the differences around us, and we're noticing everything unfair, why are we starting to resent the people? Why are we starting to resent the society when we are all a part of this society? And we have some people that are noticing that they may have an advantage and looking down on those that they realize don't have that advantage. And we realize that people who have started realizing that they may not have that advantage are also looking down on the people that have that advantage and are labeling them together as a group. I'm not saying that's wrong or that it's unfair in any way, because as a society we have done this. This exists. It's quite evident and it's quite obvious, and it happens every single day, whether you're in Walmart or in a mall, or how people talk to you, how people look at you. It's not just in their minds, it's evident on their faces, and it's influencing those around us, and it's also influencing our society. Because once something happens enough times and our mind starts remembering it as being common, our mind starts replicating it. And it's especially evident in teens, since they have the most gray matter than in any other point in their lives. They are the most affected by these looks. That is when they start learning everything around them and truly developing their own opinions. And that is when we start forcing our opinions on them. It's not survival of the fittest. That would mean that nature is acting against us and that we have a predator. It's not some race being better than the other. It's not any sexuality or any gender being better than the other, because physically humans have no predator. We are our own predators. We are the mental weakest of every single animal on Earth, because we are the most vulnerable to attacks like that. We are our own predators, basically. Mentally, humans are the most fragile creatures on the world, and we're only supporting it and attacking each other more and more every single day. I have no solution to the inequalities that we find ourselves in and in those around us. But it's about time that we start letting them be known and accepting them as something that happens every single day. Accepting it and addressing it so that we can address it in the future, and we can let our people in the future, our children in the future, know that this once happened, and to prevent them from also thinking in such a way. It's about time that we call to let all of the inequalities in the world be known. And it's about time that we strive to change it. We can't ignore it. It's in our way of thinking, in our way of living now, and it's integrated itself in us. And our only chance to fix this is not just to look at ourselves, but to also look at our future generations. Is this what we want for our future? Is this how we really, really want our future and our society to continue to be? We must address this in order to change it. That's just what I think.